Hello, dear friends. When a government is oppressive, the people become cunning and rebellious, wrote Lao Tzu. Opinion piece. Political dualism. Empty labels. Return of ethics. Natural harmony. Left-right duality. Desire for control. Libertarian Taoism. Triumph of freedom. Virtue is not imposed. Minimalist government. System and anti-system. Dogmas or political flags. Principle of non-interference. The art of not forcing or imposing. Let's start. Being a rebel against the system used to be left-wing because the right was the system. Now, being a rebel against the system is being right-wing because the left is the system. When some European political leaders are trying to imitate China's totalitarian social control system, the goal is always to keep us divided and in conflict, because together we are very dangerous for the matrix system. We must transcend the left-right dualism and unite in common sense. No matter how much we program the youth, in the end the youth will always go against the established system, because they are instinctively rebellious. Historically, the left has been associated with the fight against established power structures, while the right has represented preservation of the traditional order. However, in recent decades, these roles have been reversed, where certain supposedly progressive doctrines have been integrated into institutions. The power structure changes over time, and what was once countercultural or anti-system can become part of the establishment or the ruling class. However, beyond ideological labels, the essential thing is to critically analyze its position and act based on solid principles such as freedom, justice and truth, instead of following dogmas or political flags as if it were a football team. Perhaps the most sensible thing is to look for practical solutions based on reality, instead of clinging to political labels. Reality is often more complex than a simple left-right dualism. Both the left and the right can have elements of the system and anti-system simultaneously. Transcending ideological labels can be positive in fostering a more constructive debate. The important thing is to analyze the concrete proposals of each option beyond the labels, and to maintain a critical view on political and social issues. Taoism. The political doctrine implicit in the Tao Te Ching is based on principles such as non-interference, humility and harmony with the Tao. Lao Tzu warns that the more laws and regulations are imposed, the more disorder there will be. Trust in the people and simplicity are key to maintaining social harmony. When the government is oppressive, the people become cunning and rebellious, he said. Lao Tzu proposes that the best ruler is one who intervenes as little as possible in the lives of human beings. Non-action doesn't mean inactivity, but acting naturally, without forcing or imposing. A wise leader guides without dominating, allowing things to flow according to their own nature. When the ruler does little, the people are content. When the ruler acts much, the people revolt. The ideal ruler does not seek to stand out or accumulate power, but acts with modesty and simplicity. Lao Tzu criticizes ostentation and the desire for control, suggesting that a leader should be like water, which benefits all without competition. The best ruler is one whose existence is hardly noticed by the people. The Tao is the universal principle that governs everything. Good government must align itself with this principle, respecting the natural flow of life and avoiding the imposition of rigid or artificial standards. Virtue is not imposed, but arises naturally when the ruler acts with integrity and compassion. A virtuous leader inspires the people without the need for coercion. He who is good not argue. He who argues is not good, he said. In short, Lao Tzu's political doctrine in the Tao Te Ching advocates a minimalist government based on humility, non-interference, and alignment with the Tao. It is a philosophy that prioritizes natural harmony and trust in the intrinsic wisdom of human beings, in contrast to authoritarian control or the accumulation of power. USA. The White House rescinds its order to freeze federal aid and loans. Trump expels senior FBI officials and prosecutors from January 6th. 3 Trump candidates face the Senate and emerge unscathed: RFK Jr., Kash Patel, and Tulsi Gabbard. The Fed decides not to change interest rates at the start of Trump's new term. Trump blames the plane crash in Washington on Obama and Biden for their policy of hiring controllers based on gender. Economy. Trump imposes 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. Trump threatens 100% tariffs to dissuade the BRICS from replacing the dollar. Markets are nervous about Trump's tariff policy. Stocks fall and the dollar rises as Trump maintains tariffs. Bullish enthusiasm returns with Trump's inauguration. Gains accelerate amid trade concerns. Wall Street says investors shouldn't overreact to Trump's tariff announcement. Traders go all in on Middle East oil. Goldman trade spots unprecedented dissociation in the market. Gold hits all-time high as dollar weakens amid tariff risks. Trump 2.0 sparks best jewelry for gold in a decade. Traders load planes with gold and silver from London to New York in tariff bet. Something extraordinary is happening in the gold vaults beneath Manhattan. Microsoft stock is having its worst day since 2022. Trump media fights back against big tech censorship. DeepSeek used shell companies in Singapore to buy blacklisted Nvidia chips. Will cryptocurrencies be the next big profit driver? Ukraine. Trump's call that doesn't come through irritates the Kremlin. US interested in resolving Ukraine conflict, Trump envoy says. US to pressure Russia and Ukraine to end conflict. Ukraine could quickly fall without support from Western companies. Ukraine fails to beat inflation, says its national bank. Ukrainian army faces defection crisis, newspaper says. Europe divided over sending peacekeepers to Ukraine. EU debates buying Russian gas as part of Ukraine peace deal. Ukraine is running out of time, Austrian colonel warns. Ukrainian media outlet leaks Trump plan to end war. Tulsi Gabbard says Ukraine's biological laboratories should be closed. North Korean troops withdraw from Kursk front line after heavy losses. Poland will not send troops in plural to Belarus or Ukraine without Trump's approval. Tucker Carlson accuses Zelensky of being a lackey of the West who sold out his country. Asia. Festive atmosphere in China at the beginning of the year of the green snake. The snake is associated with traits such as intuition, wisdom, cunning, and charm. It is also related to the element fire, which represents passion and transformation. This means that this year is considered a time of reflection and shedding of skin, that is, of personal growth. China's DeepSeek snakes up markets, marking a milestone in AI race. China is building a huge military complex 10 times the size of the Pentagon. India and China agreed to resume air travel after nearly 5 years. Indonesia questions the relevance of the Paris Agreement after the US exits. Yolani declares himself president of Syria after cancelling the elections and the constitution. Egypt confirms that it is opening the Rafah crossing with Gaza for the transfer of wounded. Spain deploys civil guard agents in the European mission at the Rafah crossing. 9 countries commit to stopping Netanyahu and preventing the sale of weapons to Israel. Europe. Trump announces that he will impose tariffs on the EU and tax more products. German inflation falls to 2.3% in January. Germany cuts its economic growth forecast to 0.3%. Italy blocks Chinese AI app DeepSeek over lack of information. Eurozone recovery still ongoing with Trump's arrival. ECB cuts rates for 5th time, announces further cuts. The ECB lowers rates by 0.25 points to 2.75% and changes for consecutive cuts. 4 cuts. The ECB lowers rates again as inflation approaches 2% and growth remains weak. The Euribor rises to 2.525% in January and ends a streak of 9 consecutive declines. Unemployment in the Eurozone rose by 1/10 in December to 6.3%. The Eurozone economy grew by 0.7% in 2024, 3/10 more than the previous year. The Jubilee in Rome is expected to attract 32 million visitors. The Green New Deal is dead, even in Europe, thanks to Trump. The Green Agenda is not only dead in the US, but it's spreading across the EU. Londoners paid to live in schools, offices, and even an abandoned cathedral to avoid crazy rents. Spain. Neither hybrid nor electric. The best-selling car in Spain is a liquefied gas car. Inflation starts the year in Spain at 3% due to fuel and electricity. 30% of young Spaniards need family support to pay for their housing. Overnight stays in non-hotel accommodation rose 3% in 2024 to 142 million. Brussels opened 2 files against Spain for not adopting European rules regarding VAT. Americas. Marco Rubio will tour 5 Latin American countries. Rubio will pressure El Salvador to receive deportees from other countries. Bukele backs down and removes Bitcoin as El Salvador's official currency. The head of the Pentagon does not rule out military action against Mexican cartels. JP Morgan estimates that the Mexican peso could fall 12% due to US tariffs. Mexico supports migrants from other nations deported by the US to return to their country. The director of the film Emilia Perez, Jacques Audiat, says in Mexico that Spanish is a language for the poor. US envoy leaves Venezuela with 6 Americans after meeting with Maduro. Trump doesn't recognize Maduro as president of Venezuela despite the envoy's trip. US prevents Colombia from using 22 helicopters after dispute between Petro and Trump. Cocaine surpasses oil as Colombia's most valuable export product. Petro calls on irregular Colombian migrants to return immediately to their country. The Argentine government is laying off more than 37,000 public employees in 2024. Argentina achieves the largest energy surplus in almost 2 decades. Argentina lowers rates by 300 basis points due to the success of the plan against inflation. The growth phase arrives. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.